Genshin Impact. No, not a disaster movie around the Earth being struck by a colossal interstellar pork bun, but an action RPG just as terrifying. Created and developed by MiHoYo, and after releasing to players in 2020, has gone on to gross over $4 billion worldwide, whilst maintaining a player base in the tens of millions. But what is it about this land where even the clergy have cleavage that has generated so many dedicated players? A land both beautiful and sprawling, filled with all manner of nightmare fuel-infused and quirky characters to collect.
Nice to meet you. My name is Xiangling. I'm a chef from Liyue. My favorite place is the the kitchen.
Oh, you. Women don't belong in the chicken. And an experience that is both enthralling and disturbing for a number of reasons. My name's MitchManix, and this is a dive into the crazy world of Genshin Impact. Genshin Impact begins with the retina-searing impact of its main menu, making me feel like I'm being pushed out of some sort of gacha womb, and after confirming casts off the character creator, for by far the most anime-inspired opening cutscene I've seen in an RPG to date, with two protagonists facing off against a haunted sugar cube magic-wielding enemy, before revealing the character selection screen, getting to choose between two pre-designed siblings to take control of when beginning the game, and what looks like to be checkmate for me when trying to come up with a silly character and name when beginning adventures in RPGs. So we will simply have to go with, Alfalfa Anime. With our hero confirmed, our sister is kidnapped, and the adventure begins with the prologue, a number of years later rejoining our lad recounting the events to what we quickly find out to be a staple of so many Eastern RPGs, that of course being the obligatory floating, high-pitched, annoying sidekick.
When I woke, I was all alone, until I met you 2 months ago.
Yeah, Paimon really owes you for that. Otherwise, Paimon likely would have drowned. So Paimon will do her best to be a great guide.
That although supposed to be cute, I have to admit having the haunted doll from The Conjuring flailing around attached to a fishing rod stuck to my head would freak me out less. Getting a few tips on movement, we make our way forward and get a glorious walkout shot of the land. A shot so inspired by Breath of the Wild that they even included having the logo in the bottom right corner of the screen, making me wonder where inspiration ends and plagiarism begins. But a shot I'm sure that either way caused Nintendo exec Miyamoto to begin frothing at the mouth slightly. Exploring further, we make our way to the Statue of the Seven, being led by our companion, in between her attempting some form of demonic seance. It's here we are gifted with some elemental powers, and are tasked with trying them out on a few mobs, getting a first look at the game's combat mechanics, wielding and dealing with a number of the world's elements, infused in attacks and enemies. After getting a glimpse at a huge dragon, we meet Amber, who is a knight of the realm, a guild of knights whose uniform of course includes booty shorts. God bless you, King Arthur. With Amber actually being the first to join our party as an additional playable character.
Outrider Amber, reporting for duty. Just say the word if you ever need my help.
Her and of course her own sidekick, cranking the nightmare fuel truly up to unprecedented levels. It has no pupils? I don't know why. Keen to try out our new combat abilities, we head up the way to a nearby camp, that even after just one glance, makes me feel like I can now hear Miyamoto's infuriated gargling from here. Taking out the camp and earning ourselves an escort to the city, we are also granted a few items to use to level up. Genshin has many ways to earn XP. However, by far the core mechanic for leveling centers around the use of experience tokens, coming in 3 rarities, and earned from all manner of activities, with these early tokens all being spent on our fire-wielding archer Amber here, for the sole reason of believing in the power of booty shorts, and totally not because I got confused and spunked the whole lot without realizing what I was doing. True to her word, Amber then guides us to the game's first major settlement.
Let me officially introduce the city of wind, dandelions, and freedom.
Where Amber plans to show us around the Knight's headquarters to meet her boss, Jean.
Before I take you guys to the Knights of Favonius headquarters, I have a present for you, traveler. It's a reward for helping me clear out that Hilichurl camp.
Hey! Why doesn't Paimon get a reward?
I'll tell you why, it's because all you've done is float around being irritating. You are essentially a fart with eyes. Getting a look around the city, we find a whole host of vendors and characters to meet, with our first stop being further into the city, to once again meet up with Amber, who grants us a further unlock in the form of a wind glider. Okay, I'm now really starting to see why they call this game Breath of the Waifu. Putting the glider to immediate use, we use it to battle that huge dragon from earlier, with the game briefly morphing into a shoot-'em-up, firing streams of lasers out of our nipples, with this unsurprisingly impressing the city folk, landing to meet the cavalry captain Kaya, and earning an audience with the Knights Grand Master Jean, along with the city librarian, that of course is rocking lacy thigh-high stockings. With Kaya's nose alarm blaring, the group reveal that they have a plan to attack the dragon's power directly, by delving into the land's temples of the Four Winds. Following this revelation, the game's major monetization mechanic is unveiled, in a very unassuming and adorably named fashion, unlocking the Wish system, which, considering that this is the loot box rolling feature, should have been introduced with simply "Gotcha, bitch!" Genshin being a game centered around building and min-maxing parties of characters that blend together to create the most powerful teams, of course lending itself perfectly to the constant drive to obtain new characters and upgrades for the player, with player characters, weapons and artifacts being upgradable, and with the game's sinister monetization options being something we'll dive into much more a little later in the video. Venturing out into the game's world, we swiftly track down the temple dungeons of the Four Winds, which turn out to be incredibly easy, smashing through them with little effort to unlock further characters.
From Lab City Four Winds.
With a number of new items as well as now a full 4-person party, with both the cavalry captain as well as the lewd librarian joining our ranks.
You've been a naughty boy.
Really? Really, game? I mean, you're not even trying now. We finish up the first chapter of the prologue and are tasked with exploring the world to increase our adventure rank, before being eligible for our next major story quests, which I won't cover in case you're looking to play the game yourself, revealing more of the world map by visiting landmarks, and getting a look at features that, when putting aside some of the game's more cursed-feeling characters and quirks, has helped propel it to such a success even in the Western market. Unlocking the adventure guide, roaming the lands, completing side quests and challenges while leveling up and gearing out the game's characters, made for a very chilled out and captivating experience. Trying out the game's elemental attacks to blend together elemental combos for extra damage, and seeing which characters work well together was another highlight. Of course, once I had figured out what the game's combat music was reminding me of.
Chocolate rain.
Genshin Impact, along with gear and character levels, ties progression to the player's adventure level that can be raised by completing all manner of activities out in the game's open world, from side quests to mini-bosses, as the player works through the content regardless of team composition. The adventure level is the one that grants most of the game's major unlocks, as opposed to the character level, or the game having some form of gear score. And as for what players can get up to, Genshin Impact's open world isn't exactly the most densely packed with activities, but where it lacks in density it makes up for in scale, with an absolutely huge map to explore, a world that for the most part is really nice to travel through, and even includes a dynamic weather system, which is constantly changing no matter what is going on, leading to on occasion hilarious results. Oh my god, please get struck by lightning.
A few moments later.
I called it! Oh my god. He just disappears. Teleport stones are scattered across the land to unlock for easy travel. The game's dungeons, named domains, to head into and complete, to go along with a healthy dose of item collection and farming for crafting and cooking items. The latter, of course, to allow for getting stuck into the game's professions, which go about as deep as most gacha games go, with quite a middling amount on offer to craft upgrade ingredients, along with food to heal and buff your party members, with of course some oddities thrown in there. Looking to revive your fallen party member? Well, time to reach for a potion. No? Maybe a bandage? What are you talking about? I'm of course assuming that you mean fried egg. The fried egg of revival, of course. With all of these items, Genshin does also unfortunately suffer from another pitfall of games with these gacha systems, that being absolutely burying the player with an insane amount of upgrade items, tokens, and other trinkets and gems that just makes the whole experience feel like tripping on mushrooms in a piñata factory. A seemingly endless stream of items that really takes a bit of time to get to grips of. Especially when knowing full well that without prior knowledge it might be quite easy to use an item too early, and end up paying for it down the line, a situation that I think a lot of developers of these games actually bank on. So if you're looking to try out the game, I'd definitely recommend checking out some guides to get a steer, before it all gets so overwhelming that like our hero here, you have to spend time rubbing your balls against a cliff face to calm yourself down. Working through the levels and reaching all the way to Adventure Rank 20, we are able to progress the main story and be introduced to some of the game's main antagonists, featuring some henchmen that can't help but remind me of other evildoers.
The time has come for the dragon to serve its true master. I win.
With this level unlocking both the game's battle pass as well as a feature that extends all the way out to the end game experience. This being the Spiral Abyss, a multi-floor set of instances designed to be quick-fire challenges for players, but with a rotating set of upper floors to keep challenges fresh. This being a much-needed cornerstone of the game's endgame, as I can see the general exploration and questing becoming quite repetitive after a while. Another key element to Genshin Impact is of course teaming up with other players to take on its challenges together. Teaming up in the game is oddly locked behind a fair few hours of leveling up, but is easy to use once reached at least. Jumping into another player's world to explore and take on some of the more challenging world bosses. And given that the game is of course playable on mobile, I'm sure with its player base numbers would struggle to run dry of potential party members, with players jumping into combat while on awkward dates or in the bath. Now to address the gold chain-clad elephant in the room, the experience with the monetization in Genshin Impact. As most will know, gacha games are structured in a way to entice its players into additional purchases, with a fear of missing out along with attaching a lot of RNG to progression. Keep seeing an advert for a maid wielding a greatsword that you just can't do without. Well, get ready to pray to RNGesus for a chance to get lucky with the game's wish system, featuring a number of rotating loot boxes with time-sensitive access to the game's characters. From disturbingly young-looking combat companions, to a new weapon. Sooner or later players will need to jump into the wish system to progress. With my time with the game, I was however surprised with how much I could get out of the game without actually spending any money, ending up with a number of 4-star weapons and characters, and even a 5-star just using the earnable currency to twist on the gacha nipple. Having said that, that does not mean that those susceptible to getting sucked into these kind of gambling mechanics would not have a far more detrimental experience getting involved in this co-op action RPG. And usually giving the player a little bit at the start is how these games end up turning its players into payers later down the line. With the game overall making me feel like with Genshin, if you have the patience and control to resist all the FOMO marketing tactics, then there is a fair amount that you can get out of this game for free, or very little. If you can get on with its more chilled out and casual feeling style, exploring and searching for upgrades. But why exactly is it terrifying? Well, aside from the frequently nightmare-inducing characters, it's pretty fucking terrifying to me that these kinds of systems are now being applied to more mainstream non-MMO RPGs. There's a reason why this game alone has generated over $4 billion since 2020, and it's not down to its world-beating gameplay. It's all in the gacha system attached to it, and I, for one, who actively avoids it even in MMOs, see even less point in it being present in small team-based multiplayer RPGs, as there's not even the chance to strut around e-dick on full display, showing everyone just how much money you spent on getting that golden codpiece. No point, of course, aside from making absurd amounts of money. Mostly I imagine on the small amount of players that truly have a predisposition to getting hooked on the predatory system and just have to have that butler in a bra, or spider infant. If you don't mind the frequently terrifying inhabitants and get on with the anime style, then Genshin does have some well-presented and engrossing experiences to offer its players, with a particularly good soundtrack, and a staggering amount for free, providing of course you can resist the claws of the gacha demon. A demon that, with all things considered, has far sharper teeth than any dragon of the land could ever hope to possess. But more importantly, what do you think? Have you played Genshin or other gacha titles, or do you avoid them like the plague? As always, I'm keen to get your thoughts down in the comments. Please drop the video a like if you enjoyed it, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss an upload. And if you enjoyed this one, you'll most likely enjoy our recent look into Guild Wars, which I will unleash on you via one of those little doodads in the top right hand corner right about now. I want to give a massive shout out to the channel patrons who help in keeping the content coming. If you're interested in getting access to behind the scenes, bloopers and full exclusive videos, while supporting the channel and of course getting your name in the outro, then the link to the channel Patreon is down in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, shit. Jesus, calm down. Oh dear Lord, what have I done? standing upon his steed like a Segne, the former being mostly due to his reputation of being slightly less than accurate with his spells for unknown reasons.